Hello, fellow duelists. This is Shadow of the Moon, and it has been a while. I think 2 months now since the last video that I had posted, and I just needed to take a break, just kind of shift gears for a second. Basically, when you're playing this game for about like 12 years straight, and you only ever take breaks for about a week or so at a time, you kind of get burnout. And for me, that's exactly what happened. I was kind of getting overwhelmed by it. The feeling of like playing I wasn't really enjoying it anymore as much. And I just felt like I needed to take a step back. So when that usually happens, it's highly recommended that you take a step back, you break whatever hobby it is. It doesn't even have to be Yu-Gi-Oh related. It can be anything. Whatever your hobby is, take a step back. Kind of take time for yourself to kind of like analyze exactly what you want to do and stuff, and until you actually get back into it and feel like, hey, I actually feel like, picking it up again. I actually feel like being able to do it. So I know this is long overdue, and today I'm going to be showing you my updated deck profile of my Nordic Aesir deck for April of 2022. I am really excited about this because Battle of Chaos, even though it didn't have a lot of support, that are a lot of cards that I actually wanted, I really, really, really did love the support that they added for the Nordic set. It is long overdue, and it really makes this deck even more incredible and makes it much faster and much more consistent. I mean, it's possible to easily use Golovig, and then with what you have, being able to get two Nordic God cards on the field at the exact same time, and that is just insane, and it's just so much fun to play. I love the artwork. I love everything on it. So without any further ado, finally, without me rambling, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first, we're going to have the new Nordic Smith Evaldi. Evaldi is very, very important in this deck. He is one of the new cards. So as you can see, if you control a Aesir or Nordic monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Nordic relic card from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect once per turn, and you're going to be using this to get the Nordic Trap card that is in there that actually can negate all face-up monster that affects your opponent currently controls, or the Searcher card that lets you special summon a Nordic monster from your deck. So that's why he is mainly in here. This guy is amazing because of that effect. I love that it's so easy to bring him, easy to get him out, and being able to swarm and everything. And then 3 copies of Alvis Nordic of the Nordic Afar. If this card is banished by the effect of a Nordic monster, a link monster, you can send to the graveyard 1 Nordic monster you control and 2 Nordic monsters from your hand, whose total level is equal to, and then special summon an Aesir monster from your extra deck. It's a good way to be able to get another Aesir monster onto the field using this effect just by being banished by the effect of a Aesir monster. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a Aesir monster from your extra deck with a different name than the cards in your graveyard. You can only use the effect once per turn. So it's a quick way and easy to be able to get this guy out be able to get him out and being able to get out another Nordic monster from your deck by banishing him and the 2 Nordic monsters with different names from your graveyard. And then you've got 3 copies of the new Piggy. Looks so adorable. Golem Bursty, Nordic Beast Golem Bursty. If a synchro monster for a synchro summon, you can substitute it. So this is basically going to be taking the place of the horse that was in the original deck that I had, because this is actually a lot better. It's a level 3. It is a tuner, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon a Nordic monster from your hand, and you can then target a Nordic monster in your graveyard, except Nordic Beast, to add it back to your hand. So it's a good way to be able to recycle cards back to your hand and being able to special summon a Nordic monster from your hand to be able to get that board going and to go into your plays. Okay, so now since we have those, I'm only running 2 copies of Tansgr of the Nordic Beast. So if this card is destroyed by battle instead of the graveyard, you can special summon 2 Nordic Beast tokens with zero attack and 0 defense, and they are level 3. That's mainly going to help you go into your Thor. And then just 2 copies of I'm gonna apologize completely to butcher this. I usually do know some Nordic words for the most part, but Tanganashtar of the Nordic Beast. I know that sounded horrible. When a monster you control is destroyed by battle is sent to a graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then once per turn, when this defense position card on the field is changed to attack position, you can special summon 1 Nordic monster, beast monster from your hand or from your deck in defense position, except him. So this is going to be helping you go into your special summoning plays and everything as the duel goes on. I know nowadays a lot of duels don't really last but a few turns, but if you're able to get him and use him and stuff, he can help you get your more of a field presence to be able to go into your high level Nordic monsters from your extra deck. So here are going to be the one-ofs, only because the one-ofs they're still in the deck. They're just not as valuable as they were before. So I'm going to play them all three at once. You've got your Vandus of the Nordic Ascent. She counts. She can change her level depending on what Nordic monster you send from your deck to the graveyard. You have Valkyrie of the Nordic Beast, that if this card is normal summon and your opponent controls a monster and you control no other cards, you can banish 2 Nordic monsters from your hand to special summon 2 tokens that are level 4, so that would go into Odin. And then Mimir of the Nordic Ascent. Once per turn at the start of the damage step, or standby phase, if you control a Nordic monster, this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 spell and trap from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card. So that's going to help you be able to go into your Nordic monsters by discarding a spell card. And then lastly, we're going to move these to the side. Lastly, we've got Mara of the Nordic Afar. He's mainly in here because he is a tuner, he's a level 2, easy to get out, and when using this card for a synchro, the other synchro card must be 2 Nordic monsters in your hand. But like I said before, not too hard to do, because he can usually bring out for Loki, because Loki requires the Nordic Afar cards. Alright, and then for the non-Nordic cards. So first we're going to be using 3 copies of Summoner Monk. If you wanted to change this with Ash Blossom or any other card, that's totally up to you. That's optional. This is just a good way to be able to get a level 4 from your deck by discarding a card, discarding a spell card from your hand. You can special summon a level 4 monster from your deck, but it can't attack this turn, but you're going to be using that as fodder anyways, so that's why he's in here. He's a good way to be able to get that extra monster presence. And then for my hand trap, I'm going to be running 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler, is going to let you negate the effect of a face-up monster until the end phase of the turn by discarding it. And that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's move on to the spells. So first, it's going to be the new Nordic Relic card that came out of Battle of Chaos. Nordic Relic Lidstolf. And this is an amazing addition, because special summon a Nordic monster from your deck, but you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Aesir monsters. Now, what makes that important? While that monster is faced up on the field, except for the Aesir monsters, while that monster is faced up on the field. Now, okay, keep in mind that when you're playing Golvig does not count as an Aesir monster. It's a Nordic card. So, unfortunately, if you're playing the deck and you summon Golvig, you aren't going to be able to use this card right away. You're going to have to wait until the monster that you special summon waits, it's like when it's on the field and stuff, to be able to actually play it. That's the only bad thing about it. But all in all, if you want to knock this down to 2, that is totally up to you. I like 3 because I do like the consistency, and it does come up for me quite a bit to be able to extend my plays if I'm needing it, especially if I need it to be able to special summon a Nordic monster from my deck and being able to go into one of the Nordic Aesir cards from my extra deck. Okay, and then 3 copies of Hippo Carnival. So you know how this works. I told in my last video, when you play Golvig's effect, activate Hippo Carnival. Hippo Carnival, you'll get your 3 tokens, and then you can banish the 3 tokens to be able to go into your Aesir, to be able to special summon the Nordic cards from your deck, and that's going to really help you be able to get the cards from your extra deck, because this will count as the 3 cards for the tribute. Okay, and then we're going to run 1 copy of Reinforced from the Army, because we are running the Smith now, so that does help. 1 copy of Monster Reborn to be able to revive the monster back. 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, just to be able to get that extra draw power. 1 copy of Foolish Burial. This is going to help us dump a monster into your graveyard to be able to use later on. And then we've got 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Harpy's Feather Duster is going to help you destroy your opponent's back row. And then lastly, Instant Fusion, because we are running Relinquished in here. Relinquished can still be used and is actually quite easy to bring out for the most part, because you just pay 1,000 life points and you bring out Relinquish for that turn. That counts as level 1. Also, you can use it to kind of take control of your opponent's monster, so that really does help. Alright, so that's it for the spells. Let's move on to the traps. So this is optional as well. This is more of a budget deck, budget Nordic deck. You do not have to have these in here if you don't want to. You have Glifnir, the Fetters of Fenir. This is going to allow you to special summon a Nordic this is going to allow you to add a Nordic monster from your deck to your hand, so you play it on your opponent's turn and everything, and that gives you your fodder. And then lastly, the newest Nordic Relic card, which actually is, in my opinion, is probably one of the most useful. Nordic Relic, Svalin. Svalin is amazing because with Svalin, if you control a Aesir monster, you can negate the effects of all face-up cards currently on the field until the end of the turn. Now, what that means is if your opponent has like a field full of monsters and they're about to activate an effect, or if they're about to activate an effect of a monster and stuff, you can negate it by using this. But keep in mind that that only counts towards the monsters currently on the field. If they play anything else from their hand or play anything, then it's going to allow them to play their effects. But this is a really good card to be able to play later on in the turn when they haven't destroyed everything and you're just waiting for them to bait you, baiting them, and then you play this, and this will allow you to negate everything currently on the field until the opponent's turn, or until the end phase of the turn. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. So first, 2 copies of Odin. Odin, all these cards allow you to get resurrected from the graveyard if it gets destroyed and sent to the graveyard during the turn. Odin, once per turn, you can make this card unaffected by spell and trap effects until the end phase of the turn. And what makes him unique and really, really good is that not only is he a 4,000 beat stick, which is insane, he allows you to draw a card when he comes back from the graveyard if you banish a tuner monster from the graveyard. And then we have 2 copies of Thor, Lord of the Aesir. This guy is 3,500, so he's a little bit less. And once per turn, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls until the end phase of the turn. So he really, he can make it to where he shuts down your opponent's monster effects during the turn. And then you can banish a Nordic Beast tuner monster from your graveyard, special summon it, and then inflict 800 points of damage. So it does a little burn damage, and it does help quite a bit. And then you can run 2 Loki, Lord of the Aesir. I like running 2 of these because it's the perfect balance, in my opinion. Just, 2 is, that's fine. That's all you're going to need. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap during your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can negate the activation if you do destroy it. And it's the same way if you remove a Nordic Afar tuner from your graveyard, special summon this, and when it's summoned this way, you can target a 1 spell and trap in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. Okay, alright, so that's going to be it for the Nordic, gods. This is going to be the Golvig of the Nordic Ascendant. This is probably one of the most important cards in this deck. Also can be one of the most painful to play because she does limit you. Okay, so she makes it to where you use one Nordic monster to be able to special summon her, and then by banishing 3 cards from either on the field or in your hand, you can special summon 3 Nordic monsters from your deck. Now from there, obviously, that's going to allow you to go into your special summon of like an Odin, Thor, Loki, or whatever. The only thing is she can only point to 1 because she only has 1 link marker, and also will make it to where your opponent's, the monster cannot be destroyed by cannot be destroyed by card effects or targeted by card effects, and she cannot be, or targeted by attacks, and she cannot be targeted by attacks. So your opponent cannot attack the monster that she is pointing to, and you cannot target her for attacks. But you can target her for attacks, or no, sorry, you can't destroy her except by activating a spell or trap or effect or whatever. And then your opponent cannot attack the monster that she's linked to. So that's the only downside, is if they destroy her by playing like a Raigeki or something, or playing something that targets her, something that negates the effect or whatever, she does get off the field. But it's still a very, very, very good card because she does help bring out the Nordic cards from the extra deck, and it is very, very important to be able to get that fuel. It's easy, so easy to bring her out. You just need 1 Nordic monster for it. And I do apologize for the rambling about it and the effect and everything. It's kind of hard to remember that because it is, the opponent cannot target the monster and destroy it or attack it, and then she can't be targeted for attacks because of her low level. So that's going to be it for the Nordic monsters. Now we have the extra deck is going to be 1,000 Aesir Strict. This obviously is going to take your opponent's monster by using instant fusion. Black Rose Dragon, because I like to be able the option to be able to blow stuff up, and it's very easy to get a level 7. You have Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and then you have your Borolo Dragon. So this is going to help you, obviously this is going to help you negate your opponent's monster effects and everything, and it's very easy to get up to 4 of the materials for it, or 3 of the materials if you have a link already. And then Borolo Dragon, which is going to be able to take your opponent's monster, and it cannot be targeted by card effects. And then lastly, we have Nightmare Unicorn and Nightmare Phoenix. Nightmare Unicorn is going to spin stuff, and Unicorn is going to destroy spell and traps. So that's it for the deck, guys. deck is just so much fun to play. You can have your own variation on it. Obviously, you do not have to be required to play certain cards in here. My recommendation is always try to play the Golveg at 3, and you can play any combination of Loki, Thor, and Odin. I try to keep them at 2 each because they do come up and everything. And as for the deck, you do not have to have the spell card. If you want it to 2, you can have that at 2 if it makes it easier for you. But I like to keep it at 3 because I don't run any problems with it. This deck is so fast now, and is just so much fun to play with. I'm so glad we got support for this deck. And yeah, like I said before, earlier in the video, I just wanted to say that everything that if you're ever having like issues and stuff, and you're ever like just burnt out, it is very, very important for you, no matter what hobby you're doing and whatever you're doing in Fury, to kind of take a break and just like analyze everything and stuff. That's pretty much what I had to do. I don't have any hard will feelings towards anybody, and I'm not counting and saying, oh, this person is the reason I quit. Nobody really made me quit. I actually just felt like I was burnt out, because after you're playing this game for as long as I have, you do suffer that from time to time. And this isn't my only hobby. I do have other hobbies and other things that I do. Mainly I spend time with my family and my wife and everything. And I also do a lot of other stuff on the side. So yeah, that's the thing. It just kind of depends whether or not you just feel like you need to take a break. I mean, I do a lot of other stuff. So this isn't my main hobby. This is like one of my main hobbies, but it's, it's not like if I feel like I need to get away from it, I easily can. So I'm so glad. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please post them on the comment section below about how cards work, or if you have any recommendations. I want to say that I want to start doing the whole recommendation thing. If you ever feel like you need to recommend something, like, hey, Shadow, this will work a lot better, why don't you use this? Tell me about it and everything, and I'll take it under consideration. I'll maybe even try it out, because that's the best way to learn, is learning by mistakes and learning from other people who may have more experience with you on that matter. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. I know it was long, but I just had to get everything out there, and thank you guys so much. I'm back for now. With that, see you guys next time. Later.